and welcome to the 267 podcast. I am here with Joel and Mike, and we're going to talk about Illuminate. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Hi, Joel.
Hello.
Hi. How are you doing today, guys?
Pretty good, yeah. All the better.
This is your first time in the office, you said?
This is the first time in the office, yeah.
What do you think on the big chair? I saved it from Skip.
Really?
Yeah.
You stole it?
No, Skip has laws on it. Once it's in Skip, it's
really?
going.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's good. I like it.
Comfy?
Yeah. Am I right framing? I've come forwards again.
No, you
Tasha keeps telling me off.
Yeah.
I need to sit in the corner.
He needs to sit in
Like,
shot.
I don't care too much about what Mike has to say. But I do
really
care, so I keep coming forwards.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's good.
I quite like Tasha's being quite directive. She's very good at that.
It amuses you, doesn't it?
It's sort of half between a sort of head teacher and a dog trader.
No!
She's like...
Buddy, it's dance teaching. It's teaching dance.
I don't
to get Joel to get his butt in the corner?
I don't get a head teacher.
It's director. It's director training. It's dance teaching. Come on, girls. Everybody come into the room. Everybody in your plie position. This is where it comes from.
I know plie, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
My pas de bourrée.
This amused me at breakfast on Wednesday. I went to everyone, can everyone come and stand here by the banister? And Mike walked past me and went, just looked at me. And I just looked him up and down and went, go on then, bunny.
I will confess, I'm not great at being told what to do.
It's because you're the director of the charity.
You're
the director of creative content.
In fairness to me, and to you, to be honest, you do say to me...
Can't you be fair to me as well? I feel left out.
I'll be fair to you.
Thank you.
I'll be fair to you. You do tell me you're the boss.
Absolutely.
With the tech.
He says you're the boss.
With the tech.
I'm well out of my comfort zone. I'm just letting you do this.
So I'm technically not telling him what to do. I'm telling him what to do after he's told me to tell him what to do.
Yeah. You're exercising the authority that has been imparted to you.
Exactly.
Wow, that's a great sentence, John.
It's true. It's true.
Like that.
I'm still doing what you tell me to do. So.
Okay, I think we need maybe an alarm goes off when it stops, though, and I relinquish that authority.
That's at the end of the working day.
But then I have no authority.
No.
Wow.
This podcast has started really dark. all about authority and who's in charge. I don't like it.
It's these power-hungry people.
Icebreaker. Mike.
I do have one, actually, and it's linked to one the other day. So if there was an animal in the world...
There's many. There already is.
And it could talk...
Parrots.
What would it... No, that can't currently talk. And what would it sound like?
What?
No, it could talk, not make a parrot noise.
They do that already.
Is that talking? Or is that making a sound?
Is it talking? It says, Polly want a cracker? That's a parrot saying, Polly wants a cracker.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I feel like this is getting vibes of the avocado conversation again.
I'll try wind it down.
Joel? I'm maybe thinking of an animal that traditionally doesn't have the ability to articulate its thoughts in the known human language.
Yeah.
For example, I've been thinking about, I think polar bears would be like, they'd have a very, almost like, a bit like your outfit, a little bit gangster. They'd be like, oh, it's a bit cold, isn't it?
But gentle.
Yes.
Gentle, yeah. They wouldn't be aggressive. I think they'd be like, because they don't need to, because they're the biggest animal and they could swipe.
So they are not insecure.
No,
they know who they are.
But they're like a bouncer, bodyguard. They're just.
But they have the perception of threat because they're big and terrifying.
Because one slap and it's game over.
Yeah,
their palms are the size of my belly. They're amazing creatures. Yeah. My top 2 favourite animals. I just like to hear them talk.
What's the other one?
Giraffes.
Okay.
But giraffes would be like
so
really.
What's the full question?
So pick an animal.
Yeah.
That you'd like to hear talk.
That I'd like to hear.
What would
in
they
the
sound
human
like?
Language, and what would they sound like?
I think I would agree with your analysis of the polar bear.
Thanks.
I think that's accurate.
Wow. Can we note that? Because normally you
Yeah,
just go out of your way.
It's been noted.
You go out of your way to disagree.
It's been thrice noted.
I've got an animal. Have I been too out there with this icebreaker?
With any icebreaker, I need time to think about it.
Okay. You're an internal process.
I would defer to the director. That
Okay.
one. That director.
Well, you could easily go with your
the
dog.
real director.
What?
You could go with Bo, your dog.
No, I know what I go. I know what I
What
go
would
for.
Oh,
Bo
do you?
sound
What
like?
animal?
Yeah. The perspective is, I feel that I can sense what animals are trying to say a lot of the time anyway. So I would like to go for an animal that I would have no idea. A perspective.
And no idea, so a blind
I have
deer.
no idea. I have no idea how this animal thinks, feels, behaves, does the things that it does at all. So maybe a worm.
Okay.
Oh
What
my
would a worm
goodness!
I'd
sound
like to have the perspective of a worm's life, because how would we know anything? We don't know anything about worms.
Oh
We don't know what
my
it thinks.
goodness.
We don't know what it wants.
I can't believe you went there.
This is what
That's
I think.
not what I was expecting it to
I
be.
need to hear the impression.
I already know
Yeah, I
what
want to
Bo
hear the
thinks.
voice now.
I want-
I
we
already
need the
know what
impression.
Bo thinks.
Go on. No, what's the word? Oh no, the
What
worm
does it sound
voice.
like? What's its mannerisms?
Maybe like little, like a worm.
Oh, that's a cute little worm. The first one, you've changed it. The first voice you did.
So,
Oh my goodness.
I think it would be small, but I think it would be maybe quite slow, because worms are quite slow. It would be like that.
All these artistic people, when they go to university, they just come
That's
back.
what they do. At
Yeah,
university. They just,
that's like a degree. You
Yeah,
get
yeah.
a master's
that's
for that.
that's her thesis.
How would you make it sound like wiggly though? Maybe
Goodness.
maybe there is some kind
Never as an
of every
icebreaker.
now and then.
Never was an icebreaker been overthought too much. Apart from Tasha, how to get the wiggle in
It
the
would-
voice of a worm.
It would like get a wiggle every now and then. It would kind of
Maybe, maybe,
Well, like a
maybe
hiccup.
it laughs and it's
It'd be
Yeah.
like a hiccup in it.
yeah.
It would just need to wiggle.
So it'd be going normally, but hello,
Or maybe they're like really cheeky, like
yeah,
I'm a little worm.
like
Yeah, exactly.
so. Joel, now you've had time to think,
Yes.
I haven't.
and the
had time
bar's been
because I've
set
been-
really
I've been
high.
busy being amused by Tasha's impersonation of a worm.
I mean, your impersonation of a parrot really did start it.
You can't stick with parrot. It's a lack of imagination, Joel.
Anteater.
Oh, good one.
Anteater. Why?
Are they
Yep.
sort of aristocracy? Do you think?
I think they are a bit snooty.
Hmm.
I think they're a bit. They're a bit like. Any ants here? What's going on here? I'm gonna poke my little nose in.
Oh, okay.
Oh, they're curious,
Yes, yeah.
but wary.
Nosy,
I think nosy,
but yeah,
nosy, very literally,
I like that. That's good thought of. Good thought. Good processing that one.
and they're quite odd looking, obscure.
Do you think they've not got many friends?
So, what would it sound like if you were to say a
They don't have any
sentence?
friends.
Do you think they don't have many friends?
I think they only sort of make friends with other anteaters, and I think that's the problem.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
they're.
Bit of an echo chamber of anteaters.
Yeah.
They only
So what
watch
would
the
they sound
same
like?
podcasts of other anteaters, and all they do is talk about eating ants and like what's the best technique for eating ants.
And nothing else.
Yeah,
They're just so
they're
poorly
just so
informed.
into eating ants.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah. So, what would they sound like? What's the voice?
that was the voice.
He did do it a little bit.
Tell
It's
me
like
again. A full
Yeah,
sentence.
got the ants around here. Yeah. What's that? Is that an ant? Oh yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you only get the
Well, that
2-2
sounds-
for your drama degree with that one, Joel.
In
sorry.
constant
I would
whispers.
take that.
In constant whispers.
Constant
Oh, do you think
whispers.
they're quite quiet?
Yeah.
Almost a bit
Secretive.
secretive, yeah.
Secretive, suspicious. You know, what are they up to?
Mm.
Eating all those ants.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that was fabulous. Honestly, I feel utterly enlightened by our icebreaker today.
Consider the ice broken.
Yeah.
I wouldn't use the word enlightened, but
No,
okay.
genuinely enlightened. Yeah. There's a whole
Disturbed.
outside of the box way of parallel world experiences.
We've judged
happening.
anteaters quite a bit.
Yeah.
We've been a bit judgy.
I bet people
don't
who
feel
know
bad about
anteaters probably feel really like, no, that's not what they're like at all.
I
Maybe
think
they're
if they
giggly.
could talk, they would say,
Maybe they're really giggly and open and
they're on to us.
innocent.
They're on to us.
Okay.
I'm going to use that more. I think that's worked quite well as an icebreaker.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Would you say it's
Only
an
with
icebreaker?
artists, though.
I made it up on the way into work.
Did you?
Yeah, I was thinking about polar bears.
Oh, I'm sure you were. They're good.
They're incredible creatures.
They're very good.
But
Cool.
I'm never going to be near one.
Cool.
Let you
Shall
know,
we?
there might be one near.
Shall we shall we end the icebreaker and come into the Illuminate
Serious conversation
mode
now.
We're coming into the Illuminate mode. So you are here today, Joel, because you
I
are
am here today.
our fabulous guest to talk about Illuminate. And because you filmed the event last year,
I did.
you edited it and therefore experienced it. How many times would you say?
300
Wow.
to 282
Yeah?
times,
That's a nice
Wow.
number. That's a precise number,
roughly.
roughly.
Yeah.
Great.
That's
So
incredible.
just before we get into the actual questions, what is your overall experience of it like?
Well, I have described it as it was really easy to capture and present it in the way that I did because of all of the crazy ideas that Mike and whoever else was involved did to put it all together. So yeah, I was just running around like a madman, capturing everything. It did make it a bit harder because there were so many things to capture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was fun, and it flew by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. So,
Can I ask a question?
yeah.
No.
Of that 282 times, what's the one bit that's sort of been burned that you think that was quite a... Either from a videographer's point of view, you think, I'm glad I caught that, or from what you saw, that was an impactful moment? Was it something that stood out? Or a couple of things?
I think one that comes to mind just more visually is was it the doves, wasn't it?
Oh, the 10,000 doves, yeah.
And I was able to get cool spirally shots on my handheld stabilizer.
Yeah. So for those tuning in who don't know, Illuminate Cathedral, the event last year, is an event where hundreds of young people, youth, come into the cathedral, and there were loads of setups in place to entertain and lots of activities and lots of food, and there was this huge art installation in the middle of the cathedral, which is what Joel is talking about. With
Yeah,
the
they weren't
doves.
real doves.
No, they were paper doves. Weren't
Paper
they?
doves.
There were hundreds of them.
Yeah, I didn't count them, but I don't know how many there were.
About between 8
It's
and
beautiful.
10,000, I reckon.
10,000.
Between 8 and 10,000, because people could go in a month before and write one. So we had one up there.
That's really cool.
So what was it? What did you?
It was an art installation to celebrate peace. It done the tours of the cathedral, and you could go in a month before and fill in one of these particular doves, and then in the week before it would get added to the installation.
That's a lot more doves than I thought there were.
Yeah, I think it's because they were.
Have they still got the moon in there now?
The moon goes today, I think, or tomorrow.
Oh, shame I never saw it.
Yeah, I saw pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It looked like a moon.
Maybe it'll be in there today when we go in.
it might be the same.
Where will it?
So
So,
gone by the time this podcast comes out.
yeah. So what do you think were some of the unique successes with the event?
Well, when I was filming it, it's just basically, it took me back to my times growing up in a church and going to these kinds of events, big, exciting events where you're meeting other people. And it reminded me, it was a helpful reminder as well, reminded me of the importance of these events to bring people together, to create an atmosphere of excitement, of intrigue, something that you can remember, something that you can rally around, an excuse to bring your friends to something, especially if you're in a Christian group, to get together, do something fun together, that you'll form those memories together that you can take with you. Yeah,
You
reminded
felt like
me
you
of that.
saw that happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It totally just took me back to my experience of those things and how important they were for me. Because I think for me, I can easily forget those things and move on in my faith and think, and not give it the, just forget about it, forget the importance of it. So when I was faced with filming it and recording it and remembering how important it is, I think that was really good for me. Yeah.
So you would you would attribute a lot of young person's growing faith with the spaces and connections that they're making at the time they're exploring their faith?
Yeah, with those sort of events, they serve as, like we call them mountaintop experiences, where you have this short, brief moment, relatively, and it's a high moment, and it's something you can remember and look back on. And hopefully, the idea is that you take it with you. So the shepherds that are leading those flocks, so the youth workers, can keep spurring the young ones on. And be like, remember what happened. Remember what the Lord did in those times. Like, you know, when you come back to the mundane life, you can use those times to remind yourself. Yeah, which is a big thing. I think it's been highlighted to me recently. The theme of remembering in the Hebrew, if I can remember this correctly, is zor kor, which means to remember, but also to bring to mind. So I've been reflecting on that and the importance of bringing something to mind. It's all through the scriptures. You know, remember the laws, the commandments, the statutes, the precepts. Remember the Sabbath. It's not just remembering passively, but bringing something to mind. It's like living through that memory. So like I can live in my normal day-to-day life through that memory that I'm seeing through that as a lens from that event that happened and God did something cool in my life, something big and important.
I like that. I like memories as a lens.
Yeah.
It becomes an ongoing sort of benefit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like it's being relived.
Yeah.
It's like it's not just something in the past that you're just sort of remembering. You're bringing it to mind. So it's like as if it's happening again in front of you, but now you're seeing what's going on now through that thing that happened.
That's a really cool point of view.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, I wasn't actually at the event last year, so I can't answer this question, but you were there, weren't you? So what do you think were some of the unique successes?
I was there. I think just hearing jolt effects is just really helpful. Like always we say, when you see anything through somebody else's eyes, it allows you to almost have your own sort of view of things expanded. So it's great. I think you were saying about the youth group almost like coming to it. I think what I loved about it was it wasn't an everyday thing. So even though some people had done some of the things that were in there, they hadn't done all of the things in there in a cathedral with 300 other people. And so I think part of the sort of bringing to mind memory thing is it allows you to see what is possible. So if you were in a youth group of only one or two, you then have that lens, to use your vernacular, to say actually God is bigger than my one or two youth group. We're part of something bigger. So if we believe the body of Christ is this more than my youth group or my church, and I think there was something quite profound about that. It was something out of the ordinary in a space that maybe you don't get to do these things in, but it allowed groups of every size to be part of it together and then go back. And so if I'm in my 2 or 3 youth group, I'm still like going, I've got that now as something that's in my memory to be able to use and say, actually, I'm not on my own. My faith isn't just my walk. I'm part of something with it. And I think that for me, because we said, I think there was 38 youth groups that were presented.
Do you know, I feel like that leads us really nicely into the next question, actually, which is why is gathering like this so life-giving?
Yeah. I wonder whether it's affected by 2020 and 2021 and our inability to gather. So even, take pandemic out of the equation, I would still argue that gathering is the most profound thing we can do as Christians, as friends, sharing a meal together. We all got great memories of a Christmas meal, a birthday meal, or a walk up a mountain with a group, or a residential. There's something about the power of gathering, which is when you're all choosing to be there together and to take part in something together. I think that is a power in itself. But then when you multiply it to the damage that the pandemic did, we've almost had to relearn that behaviour because we were stopped from doing it, And then because we were stopped from doing it for so long, the damage that did to us meant it was so hard to be able to start doing it again. A lot of people said, I'm just not going to bother. And so then the damage of that sort of isolation and loneliness becomes much more, almost oppressive on someone.
Yeah.
And so actually, when you then gather now, it's like, wow, this is life-giving, because it's so not what I've been experiencing the last couple of years, and I want more of it. So it's interesting that the second year of running this, the sort of energy behind, are you going to Illuminate? Are you going to Illuminate? My group's going to Illuminate. It's just been much more than last year when we didn't really know what it was going to look like. So I think it's almost served as a bit of an oasis, a reminder of what happens when you gather, that now you then choose to prioritise it in your youth group calendar. I'm doing this. And our hope is that actually we're trying to think of what does a more regular gathering look like that will be life-giving in a more regular pattern, rather than it's a once a year thing, which is not healthy at all. So
Yeah.
or to only have it once a year isn't as healthy as it could be.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's so life-giving to gather in this way, Joel?
Yeah, I think amen to all of that, and I think it's very natural to gather, to eat together, as you were saying, and it reminds me of like the ministry of Christ with his disciples. He was either basically on the road preaching and healing and casting out demons, or eating with his disciples. So I think it's something that feels very homely in the spiritual when we're gathered together, eating together. I think there's something that feels right and good and sort of divine about it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I think it's less so now, but I think back then, 2,000 years ago, to eat together was a sign of that we are sort of equals and peers. But I think there is still a sense of that. If we're eating together, we're choosing to share company with one another. And it's a sense of welcoming and togetherness. So even if you don't really talk about togetherness and unity, but the simple act of just eating together, you're in a way talking about it. You're communicating that value of togetherness and unity. Yeah.
I think what the event did, which I'm only now reflecting on probably sort of in a really clear way, is sometimes when you run a big event, you still sort of silo out in your groups. I remember I worked in America years ago and went into a school,